Hello, everyone. Okay, so we are back for another reading of. Let me clean my. Oh, look, there I go. Clean screen. Okay, so yet again, totally different location. One day I am going to have a permanent spot to film, and that's what we're praying for. But of course, uh, you know. God tells us to do something, we just do it, whether we feel prepared or not. So that's what I've been trying to do here by staying consistent, staying consistent. That's the goal. All right, so we have ended up here. We've ended up here at Isaac and Abimelech. Okay, now, Abimelech has a tendency to relinquish uh let's see, what is that? Relinquish accountability, okay, with technicalities. So let's see here what happens between Isaac and Abimelech. So this is chapter 26. We are moving right along, y'all. Like right along. I feel like hmm. Okay, yes. Okay. So we did read chapter 25. So let's start on chapter 26. Isaac and Abimelech. Now there was a famine in the land, besides the previous famine in Abraham's time, and Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, in Gerar. So what he's saying is, well, what this is saying is there's another famine. First, there was a famine with Abraham during his time, and now Isaac is experiencing the same thing, basically. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land where I tell you to live. Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and will give them all these lands. And through your offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed. Because Abraham obeyed me and did everything I required of him, keeping my commands, my decrees, and my instructions." So Isaac stayed in Gerar. When the men of that place asked him about his wife, he said, "She is my sister," because he was afraid to say, "She's my wife." Is this not familiar? Woo. Okay. The men of this place, he thought, the men of this place might kill me on account of Rebekah because she is beautiful. When Isaac had been there a long time, Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked down from a window and saw Isaac caressing his wife, Rebekah. So Abimelech summoned Isaac and said, "She is really your wife. Why did you say, 'She is my sister'?" Isaac answered him, "Because I thought I might lose my life on account of her." Then Abimelech said, "What is this you have done to us? One of the men might well have slept with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us." So Abimelech gave orders to all the people, "Anyone who harms this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." Isaac planted crops in that land, and the same year reaped 100-fold because the Lord blessed him. The man became rich, and his wealth continued to grow until he became very wealthy. He had so many flocks and herds and servants that the Philistines envied him. So all the wells that his father's servants had dug in the time of his father Abraham, the Philistines stopped up, filling them with earth. Then Abimelech said to Isaac, "Move away from us. You have become too powerful for us." So Isaac moved away from there and encamped in the valley of Gerar, where he settled. Isaac reopened the wells that had been dug in the time of his father Abraham, which the Philistines had stopped up after Abraham died, and he gave them the same names his father had given them. Isaac's servants dug the valley and discovered a well of fresh water there. But the herders of Gerar quarreled with those of Isaac and said, the water is ours. So he named the well Esek, which here means dispute, because they disputed with him. Then they dug another well, but they quarreled over the one also, so he named it Sitnah. He moved on from there and dug another well, and no one quarreled over it. Sitnah means opposition. He named it Rehoboth, saying, now the Lord has given us room, and we will flourish in the land. From there he went up to Beersheba. That night the Lord appeared to him and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you and increase the number of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham. Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. There he pitched his tent, and there his servants dug a well. Meanwhile, Abimelech had come to him from Gerar with Ahuzath, his personal advisor, and Phicol, the commander of his forces. We know these people. Isaac asked them, why have you come to me since you were hostile to me, since you were hostile to me and sent me away? They answered, we saw clearly that the Lord was with you, so we said there ought to be a sworn agreement with us, between us and you. Let us make a treaty with you that you will do us no harm, just as we did not harm you, but always treated you well and sent you away peacefully. And now you are blessed by the Lord. Isaac then made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Early the next morning, the men swore an oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them on their way, and they went away peacefully. That day, Isaac's servants came. That day, Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug. They said, we found water. He called it Shiva. And to this day, the name of the town has been Beersheba. Let's see. And Beersheba, it says here, can mean well of the oath and well of seven. So that's just the name to the well that they dug there, basically, in that region. It's called Beersheba. So that is the only story that we are going to read today, because the next story is pretty long. Okay, it's a pretty long chapter. And it's the story of Jacob taking Esau's blessing. So I just want to chat a little bit about the book of Yasher, because I've mentioned this book in a few videos now that I've done. And that book is so interesting because, like I always disclaim, it's not something that they consider God breathed. It's not in the Bible, but it's definitely mentioned in the Bible. It is referenced in the Bible. Even by Samuel in the Bible, it's referenced. But, and also David, I just can't remember exactly where, but it is a very interesting read, and it gives so much detail behind the next story that we're going to read, which is Jacob taking Esau's blessing. So just like in the chapter prior to this, which is chapter 20, or actually in chapter 25, when you get to the story of Jacob and Esau, which starts in verse 19, you see in verse 32 that Esau is like, I'm about to die. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give, like, right now at this moment, I could give two hoo-has about that birthright right now, because I'm about to die. And when you read it in this text in the Bible, it's like, okay, he was out there in the field and he must be really, really tired. But when you read this story in the book of Yasher, there's a huge reason why he's tired. So if we go back, all right, let's go back. This is why lineage is important. If we go back in the lineage, right? Let me see. Let me see. All right, that's not that. Let's go back to some more lineages. The sons of Noah. Okay, let's see. So we go back to chapter 10, verse 8. It says, Cush was the father of Nimrod, who became a mighty warrior on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. So, and this is just tea. This is not a part of this Bible. Again, it's the book of Yesha. So, which I do encourage. Like, if you like a good read, I would read it. So, well, I am reading it, but you get what I'm saying. If I were you, I would go and explore it. So it's very interesting because in the book of Yesher, when it details the story of um, Esau's blessing being swindled away by Jacob, and he says, I'm tired, I'm about to die, it's because, okay, he had just come back from hunting Nimrod down and hiding in the woods to get the perfect moment to slay him and chop his head off. And then the people that were guarding Nimrod were chasing him, and so he had to fight them off. And then he ended up at Jacob and was like, oh, Lord, please give me something to eat. I'm about to die. I'm tired. Okay. That is the detail that the book of Yasher gives behind this particular story. So I just thought that was interesting. And then we're going to see, because that's just one part of that story of his birthright being taken away. Like, he swindled him out of birthright, and then we see like how the interaction between him and his father, and when Esau went out because his dad was about to give him the blessing, he was like, oh, I want some meat, and so Esau went to go get the meat, and then we'll read about it, but very interesting story. So yeah, this was a short reading for today. I do apologize, but I don't like to break up the stories, like no cliffhangers on this channel. So yeah, I hope that you join me for the next reading, which is going to be the story of Jacob taking Esau's blessing, and we are going to, see how Jacob ends up leaving, and how that connects to this story, and it's just going really well. I'm like actually really proud of the growth of this particular series of the Bible reading time. So I just wanted to take time out to say thank you for tuning in, joining in, commenting also. That's really, really good. And I just can't wait to see how it grows. I am going to plan, well, I've already planned and solidified in my brain that I am going to read chapter 38. We're going to read Genesis chapter 38 together, because that is the story of Judah and Tamar. And if you know me personally, that's like one of my favorite, if not my favorite, the absolute favorite Bible story for me. So, and I do also think that that story is particularly interesting because it kind of like breaks up one larger story. Like, that story is smack dab in the middle of Joseph's story of how he gets, like, this story, Judah and Tamar happens like right after he, gets sold into slavery by his brothers. And then we have like this commercial break of Judah and Tamar. So I think that that's really interesting also from a Bible study perspective when you're trying to glean some sort of guidance to see how that particular story is like smack dab in the middle of a larger story. So yeah, anywho, let me stop rambling because I will ramble on and on and on and on. And that is why I've created other series for this channel. Okay, I'm not supposed to ramble right here. We just supposed to be reading words. So, anywho, I hope you have a great day. I hope God blesses the reading and the hearing of this word. I hope that you are motivated, downright motivated. Okay, shout out to you if you went to basic training because you know the rest of the words. And yeah, I hope you have a great day. I don't know how to end a video. So click the subscribe button, click the notification bell. Okay. Pray for me and the organization of this channel, and that I find or come up with some type of exit script. And I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.